This is going to be a noodle episode. We're at Ichiban restaurant outside. We're going to have the hot beef Szechuan noodles here. We're going to compare them against other noodle dishes. So this is the first of 4 or 5 stops on this episode.
So the first thing with any noodle dish is you have to try the stew or the broth. And this is no different. This is a spicy broth. That is so good. It's warming to the body. It's spicy, tingles the senses, and it's a very, very meaty, fragrant taste. Spicy beef noodle soup. It is very spicy, so if you are weak and do not like spices, this is not for you. Exactly what I expect for spicy beef noodle soup. We have this like green thing, like greens here. I think it's like Asian bok choy. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But it's actually very common in beef noodle soups as a kind of just a vegetable, a green that you can actually eat and enjoy. Now, whoops, screwed up the chopsticks, but I can still use them. I didn't do the chopsticks well, as you can see, but I can still use it. See how this tastes. The veggie is fresh. Fresh veggies, always good. Par for the course. I like the vegetables. Let's actually try the beef. There's a good amount of beef here. This is the beef. Looks fresh, dripping with hot sauce. We're gonna dip it back in the stew. And very, very tender, cooked well. It's quite chewy. Probably slightly more chewy than I prefer. But with beef tenderness, that's something you can get. And it tastes better than most beef that I've had. Let's actually get some of the tripe and the tendon to see how it tastes. Look how awesome that looks. So good, just melts in your mouth. Some of my favorite parts of the beef noodle soup. Spicy beef noodle soup. There is a non-spicy version for weaklings here, but since I am not a weakling, I eat the spicy version. Delicious vegetables. Great broth. Now the noodles. Okay, if you make beef noodle soup, these large, thick noodles are the ones you should definitely use. This is traditional beef noodle soup. Thin noodles do not make the cut here. You need large, thick noodles like these. That's some good noodles, man. Dipped in the soup, has a nice, spicy, meaty, beefy taste. I have to give this the portion, the size, and the taste of this beef noodle soup, plus the vegetables and the beef, an A. So this is gonna be tough to beat. Spicy beef noodle soup at Ichiban. Excellent portions, excellent noodles, excellent beef, excellent vegetables, excellent broth. All right, now we're gonna go to the next place.
We are at Ramen Station. This is the ramen stop. We already did the beef noodle soup stop just up the street, and now it's the ramen stop. This is the Tangatsu ramen, $11, same price as the beef noodle soup. And you can see it has ramen, pea sprouts, whatever this stuff is, some meat, an egg, and some bamboo shoots, and some seaweed, of course. So now we are going to see how this tastes. So as with any noodle dish, we have to start with the broth. It's very rich. I think this is a vegetable-based broth. I think I like the beef stock better for broth, but pretty good. Has kind of an eggy taste and lighter than most ramen broth I've tasted, which I kind of like at this time of the day. Having a late dinner at 9 o'clock. So, let's look at the bamboo shoots. I don't really like bamboo shoots, but these are pretty fresh. Pretty good overall. Gonna eat a couple of the sprouts too.
Nice and crunchy, very, very fresh. Quite good, quite good. The amount of ramen, it seems, is not as great as the amount of beef noodle soup over there, though. Let's taste a little bit of these fish cakes. A couple of them. Pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. Good fish cakes, but par for the course. Nothing spectacular, but par for the course. More soup. I like it. I would rather have it be a little bit meaty though, but that's what Tangatsu ramen is. And now the beef. I think there's only 2 slices of beef in here, which makes me somewhat unhappy. Not nearly as much meat as the other dish at the Szechuan restaurant, but pretty good. Very fatty beef. I prefer the other spicy flavor, but this is pretty good beef, I have to say. And now, let's partake in the seaweed. Partake in the seaweed here. Not as crispy as crunchy, but it's been in the soup for a while, so I'll let that slide. And let's take a look at the egg. Nice egg with yolk. I think if it wasn't for this egg, this ramen would not have enough substance to it, so let's have the egg. I like that egg yolk. It's still kind of gelatinous, but it's still well held together. Gives it a very good mushy taste, and the white is cooked quite well. So with that, we have to have more broth. The broth actually helps everything down quite well. It's not heavy at all, and it's a very good filling, but it's a good complement. Now let's try the noodles. Now ramen noodles are quite different from like the thick Szechuan noodles that I had last time. These honestly are not the best ramen noodles. I think I might actually prefer the Shin ramen noodles over these. So they have that veggie like broth taste in them, so the flavor is soaked in well. But the overall flavoring of the noodles, they're not that firm. So noodles not that great. The toppings were pretty good, but there's not too much of them. And overall, it's quite a bit less food than the other place for the same amount of money. Not too bad ramen, still better than the other ramen place I went to. So I'll give this like a B- for tastiness of ramen. So that is the ramen station review, and this is the second stop on our noodle adventure. And I think we're gonna go to some pho and udon in the next couple of ventures. See you guys later. So we are at Edo Japanese restaurant. I got the soba. Actually, I got the udon, not the soba though. Soba is generally ramen, and udon is thick noodles. So I got the udon. It has fish cakes, eggs, and other stuff. I also got some tempura. We're gonna judge the udon, but we are definitely going to try the tempura first. All right, let's try the tempura first. Not what we're gonna judge this on, but it looks very tasty. It's very crunchy. I think this is a vegetable one. Usually not a fan of cooked broccoli, but dipping the tempura in the sauce and then eating it, the shell is really good. It's really, really crunchy. Let's try this.
And like I hate ashes, so like Asher ruined your life, like I'm all about that, like fuck ashes. Yeah, I definitely
I love the crunchiness of tempura.
like I hear some stories.
The outer shell makes it so good.
Yeah, but like she's like
Delicious tempura. Now we're gonna try the soba noodles. So with any noodle dish, we first try the broth. First trying the broth, It's not as rich as the ramen or the beef noodle soup. It's kind of like just a little bit of water with soy sauce, which is okay, but I can definitely drink it since I want some warmth right now. It's decent, but there's no substance behind that kind of broth. So now we will try the egg. So the egg is a big part of this. It's pan-fried pretty well. Exactly how I would make it at home generally. It gives some substance on the topping of the noodles. It's not bad, not bad. And now we will try the fish cake. Pretty good fish cake. Pretty good fish cake, but pretty normal. I mean, it's not like incredible fish cake. I think it was slightly better than the ones at the ramen place yesterday, but decent fish cake in the noodles. They also have some vegetables, and they have a little bit of meat here. Pretty good. Not that tasteful for the meat, but they have some of these mushrooms as well. And the mushrooms actually taste pretty good. They have a few more strips of meat. The meat is fresh, cut, but it's not very tasty. And we're going to try the soba noodles now, which is some of my favorite thick, heavy noodles here. These are some of my favorite types. I actually like them better than even the beef noodles because they're bigger. I really like thick noodles with broth. So the noodles are definitely a win for me. So overall, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by the mushrooms because I really like the mushroom taste. And the fish cake is better than the ramen fish cake I had early at the last stop. The noodles are pretty good. The amount of food is decent, but the meat not very flavorful, although it's quite good and fresh. Taste-wise, it's okay. It's not as tasteful as definitely as the beef noodles or the ramen noodles, but the amount plus the stuff that's actually in it makes it an actual decent meal to be had. So I would give this place a B. All right, next time we're gonna have some pho.
So we are now at Saigon Noodles, our last stop on this noodle battle. And we're gonna have Vietnamese pho. You can see I got the deluxe, so we have tripe, beef, meatballs, and this delicious pho soup. So let's see how this tastes.
So as with everything else, first we have to try the soup first, especially because it's pho, the broth is super important. Very warm, very comforting, very tasteful. Definitely some MSG in there, but just the right tint of saltiness in the soup. I really enjoy this soup. It's quite good. So let's try some of the meat. Get a little bit of pork. Pretty good. I mean, I like it actually more than most pork. Soaked into the soup. Gives that soup that taste, and makes it well cooked and a really brothy, beefy taste. I like it. Let's try the meatball. It tastes better than most meatballs because, like, these meatballs, it soaks up, once again, the holes in the meatballs you can see soak up the soup taste. So it gives it really like that meaty soup taste, which I really like. It's quite loud here because of the cleaning and the other people here. But a meatball have that soupy, really nice meat aroma taste. So I like it a lot. Now we have the tripe. Some of my favorite parts of the soup. It's very, it's tender and it chews through really well. They've cooked it for a long, long time. So the tripe is quite delicious. Try some of the onions and the tripe, onions and tripe together. That is quite delicious. So the meat and the stuffings here, oh, let's take some of this tender, more of like the loin part. Melts right in your mouth. It's quite good. Gotta drink it down with some of the soup. Quite good. Now let's try the vermicelli noodles. Now these vermicelli noodles are different from the other noodles that I've distinctly had. And they're thinner, but I think they're supposed to soak in the flavor of the broth more. Pretty good, pretty good. It complements the pho taste very well. So while the amount of pho I get for $10 is not incredibly large, there's enough meat and the soup is delicious. It gives me that warm flavor, and the soup soaked in these noodles gives it that warm, comforting Vietnamese pho taste. I've had better pho, of course. I've had better soup before, and I've had more meat in the bowl before, but it's a satisfying bowl of pho. I'd give this place an A-. So we just had the pho, and that's the fourth one. So which one do I think is best? They're all about the same price, by the way. They're all like 10, 11 bucks by themselves. I have to say, like, my favorite is definitely the spicy Szechuan beef noodle soup. That had by far the most beef in it. The beef was by far the most tasty in that dish, and the broth was actually my favorite in that dish. Second would actually be the pho noodles that I just had. Very, very savory broth, decent amount of meat, good noodles. I actually like the Szechuan noodles better, the thick noodles in that broth better than the pho noodles in this broth. So second would be the pho noodles I had there. Third would actually be tough because between the ramen and the udon, neither of them were really that good, honestly. I would have to place the ramen third and the udon fourth. The udon broth was kind of disappointing, honestly. And the stuff in the udon, honestly, was not as good, nearly as good as the meat in the Szechuan noodles or the pho. So number one, the winner is definitely the Szechuan noodles. Second place would be the pho. Third place would be the ramen, and fourth place would be the udon. So that is the review. Let me know what you think. Thank you and have a nice day.